Fabiano Caruana enters into this critical round with his team. And there you see the leader of the tournament, Javokhir Sindarov, entering in with his second Mukhiddin Madaminov. I love these footages where you see the players entering in, gets you to see the different moods of the players. While Fabi walks with his team and looks very calm at all times, Sindarov is always with this energetic walk, with his second telling him some lines and so much of action happening. But the moment you enter the playing hall, it's very different. The mood is so serious there. There's absolutely no sound. There are journalists who are shooting you, but you know that once the game begins, you are on your own here. And Sindarov, who has been playing so amazingly well, faces a big test in the form of black pieces against Caruana. He is currently on 8 points out of 10, which is just mind blowing if you think about it. 6 wins and 4 draws for him. While Fabi, his chances of qualifying are almost non existent, but beating Javokhir would be a huge thing. A handshake here, and this, dear friends, is the ChessBase mobile app recap of the day. Get your ChessBase mobile app from the link in the description. It's free. Knight to f3 by Fabi. And Javokhir now decides to push his pawn to d5. Pawn to c4 played by Caruana, and Sindarov goes for the solid e6. A draw here would be an excellent result for Javokhir. Knight comes out to f6, bishop to g2, and black now plays bishop to e7. Javokhir does not go for this bishop d6, knight c6 line that he went against Andrei Esipenko. Castles, black castles as well. And will we see a pure Catalan? Yes, pawn to d4. It is Catalan on the board. And Javokhir has no doubts of what he's going to play. He takes the pawn on c4. Queen c2 is the normal move to take back the pawn with the queen. And Fabi thinks for a bit and plays his knight to e5. He wants to take this pawn with the knight. The bishop opens up. Of course, the c8 bishop is the problem piece here. And this is the most interesting move. Knight c6 here. Attacking the knight in the center and the pawn on d4. Bishop takes c6. A risky move for sure because you're giving up your light squared bishop, but all of this has been played thousands of times. So it's all well known. Takes here. Queen e8. And now knight takes e7. Queen takes e7. The main move in this position is queen a4. The second main move is queen c2. But Fabi goes for a line that has been played only 5 times. Bishop e3. And guess who's played it 3 out of those 5 times? Nihal Sarin. We can maybe say this is a Nihal Sarin line, although he hasn't won a game with it. He played it with Jan Nepomniachtchi as well in the World Cup. The idea is to stop c5. Queen c1, defending the bishop and attacking the pawn on c4. Rook b8 played by Javokhir. He's attacking the pawn on b2. You can't really push as there's a pawn here. So knight to c3 played. And Javokhir takes, knight takes e3. Fe3, that spoils the structure. So you have to take with the queen, but that allows black to win a pawn here on b2, which Javokhir does it. Rook takes b2. And now rook b1. This is the new move over the last game that has been played in this position. Theodoru versus Eliano went rook fb1, when actually rook b6 was possible. As knight d5, there's check here. So there's no fork. But rook a b1 does not allow now rook b6 because of knight d5. So he takes, rook takes, and now a6 played by Javokhir. Fabi plays f3. So Fabi is still in his prep. Now, try to look at this position a bit carefully. Black is a pawn up, but what white has here is a good knight on c3. If you manage to win one of these pawns, the remaining pawns will still remain weak, while white has this very nice structure. So in a way, Fabi is kind of playing for two results here. And these are the kinds of positions that are tough for Javokhir. So that's a very good decision. Bishop c6 played, trying to provoke d5, when you can simply go back and maybe try and improve your structure here a bit. I don't know if Fabi will get tempted into playing this move d5, because there are other ways to continue, but he does play it. So Fabi does think that this is the right way to continue. d5. And Javokhir has to go back now. Bishop d7. And a good move here is rook to b7. He attacks the pawn on c7. There is pressure on e6 as well. And queen comes up to d6, now threatening to take the pawn on d5. So d takes e6 is the very logical move. He goes knight e4 even. Wow, that's very interesting. Fabi is trying to play against this bishop on d7, not letting it get activated. If queen takes d5, so you might even see that the pawn structure will improve quite a lot for black. Queen takes d5, but now you take rook takes c7. And okay, if you play a move like rook c8, I can trade, and I think that's a good way to play. But Javokhir gets tempted with the move e5. Maybe a small inaccuracy, but he's planning to play bishop e6. Who knows, at some point he may get aggressive with f5 as well. And this is the point of Fabi's entire play. He goes queen to c5. What he's essentially saying is that I'm going to try and win back the pawn, and when I do, my position would be better than yours. And Javokhir goes bishop e6, and slowly and steadily, it seems like Fabi is kind of taking over here. It's, Javokhir has looked almost bulletproof in this tournament. He's made no errors. Bishop d5, and now knight to c3. Plays it. Attacks the bishop. The bishop has to move away. And what Caruana is doing is not going after this pawn, because this is a well blockaded pawn. He's going after something else. He's going after the e5 pawn. And so Sindarov now has to defend it with f6. And a very good move now is rook c6, attacking the bishop and the pawn. And Fabi finds it. Rook to c6. Okay, you can go bishop c8, but then you are so passive in spite of being a pawn up. So he goes king f7, and now Caruana chops off the a pawn. Now look at the dangers here. A pawn is brilliant, so don't push it right now because the rook will enter in. What you can do is bring your king here. First a check, then bring the king to c2, control the knight, play a4, a5, a6. This looks like a huge advantage for Caruana. And it seems like the first time that Sindarov is in trouble in this tournament after the first round against Esipenko. King g6 played. And now rook to e7. Maybe not needed. King e1 just directly going here was a great plan. Rook e7 attacks the bishop. He plays rook to b6, defending the bishop. And Fabi is now expanding on the king side. A small inaccuracy, I feel, because now Sindarov gets something to latch onto, and he does it. He plays the move h5. What a beautiful move. And now maybe h3 is good, but he takes. You can't take here. Rook takes g7. White is winning. So king h6, hoping that someday he'll pick up the pawn. King e1. Fabi starts his journey to the c2 square. But this is the thing that g4 actually enables now, is bishop f5 move. Because now you are stopping the king going here. If you ever play e4, then bishop h3, and now both these pawns get a bit weak. So he goes rook c7, attacks the pawn on c4. Bishop e6 played. And king to d2. King comes in. We have a check here on d6 from d6. King c2 played. And now rook to d7, just bringing the rook backwards. And Fabi keeps the rooks because taking here would mean closer to a draw here. So rook c6 keeping the rooks, bishop f7 played. And pawn to a4. The a pawn is running now. Javokhir has to play this carefully. He plays rook a7, a nice move. And one of the ideas can be bishop e8 and picking up this pawn. So king b2. If now bishop e8, rook takes c4, defends it. Somehow it doesn't work. He plays king h5. And now Caruana can bring his king up slowly and steadily. White's position looks definitely promising. And nice move. Actually, there are so many pitfalls here. But Javokhir is defending so well. Rook b7, knight b5. There was a threat. Blocks it, Fabi. And now once again, king g5 with the idea of coming here is the move. He finds it to get active. Because bishop e8 looks tempting, but after rook c7, it's white who's winning. So king g5, rook c5. Defending the knight, preparing a5, a6, king f4. Sindarov realizes that the a pawn is very strong. So he needs this counterplay. And he's doing that just with his king. Wow. Incredible understanding. King e3. And now a6. Fabi's pawn is rushing now. No rook b8 because that's passive. And this is actually winning position for white. So rook b6 again finds the best move. a7. You need to give a check. He finds it again. King b4. And now the only move is bishop e8 with the idea of taking and taking here. He finds it again. Beautiful. Beautiful chess. And now Fabi has to go rook c7. He defends the pawn here. And Javokhir takes the pawn on e2. But okay, you can take now on g7. He first jumps back with his knight, giving a check. And Sindarov takes another pawn. And the fact that he's taken so many pawns means that at some point he can sack his bishop. But now white has another passer. It's like the central pawns versus two rook pawns. e4. Javokhir wastes no time in getting his pawns activated. e4. And now if knight e4, he goes rook e7. Makes a lot of sense. Attacking with the knight and the rook and also the bishop. Okay, if you play bishop e6, maybe rook e6, pinning here could be an idea. But Javokhir does not even care for his bishop. He goes f5. He's like, this pawn is worth its weight like a piece. If you take here, I'll take this. Rook e8. And now rook takes a7. Takes it. And black is better. I mean, better in the sense closer to now a draw. Now, again, careful. If you play f4, knight d5, somehow it's still equal. But why to do it? And so, rook h7. Fabi takes the pawn with a check. King g2 played. Now knight takes e4. He takes the pawn. Sindarov is winning. King takes. Moves in with his knight to f6. And rook to c7. Will Fabi actually force Sindarov to play rook knight versus rook endgame? Which could be interesting. It's generally drawn easily and Fabi says, no, I don't want to test you, Javokhir. I trust you. Takes, king takes. And now pawn to c3. This time check. And they agree to a draw. Javokhir Sindarov gets a huge half point here. With this, he actually keeps his lead in the tournament to 2 points because Anish Giri couldn't win against Andrei Esipenko. And that means that with 3 rounds to go and 2 points gap, he is very likely to win this candidates and challenge Gukesh for the world title. What I really liked about Javokhir is his ability to defend in an inferior position. We all know how good he is in his attacks, how good and strong he is when he has the initiative. But in this game, he showed what a complete player he is as he tried to defend with an inferior position, and that defense was also top notch. As Fabi is left there wondering, you know, when would he be able to win the candidates. I hope his time comes, but today it was Sindarov, and there you see he enters in the press media, and we have the head of marketing of FIDE, Anna Volkova, who tells her all that lies ahead of Javokhir in the media room. All these years, ChessBase was a software that needed to be installed on your computer. But now, ChessBase has come up with a mobile app. It's called the ChessBase mobile app, and it is available both on Android and iPhone. With the app, you can now prepare against an opponent. You can get access to more than 11 million games in your database. You can create a new game, analyze it. The premium users get access to the fastest cloud engines, and then you can save your analysis. What's more is that the app is completely free. If you want to stay connected to serious chess preparation on the go, then the ChessBase mobile app is for you.